Pocket Money podcast. Uh, I be listening to a lot of these people online, talking about how to make money and whatnot. It's always annoying hearing them talk about like oh, people, you've been taught the wrong way. You've been taught to fear credit cards and to save your money, you know and then they tell you the opposite, which is saving money doesn't make you wealthy, or you know credit cards aren't evil or bad. The credit cards are good and stuff like that, right? This is the kind of stuff you'll hear. The thing is, that's ironic about this stuff is that no one says that credit cards are bad except people who don't know shit about credit cards, so they only know about something that they heard once about the idea that credit cards are bad. And here's the irony: more likely they heard credit cards are bad from people who talk about money, people that are trying to sell you on this idea of like how to make money, right? And they're like, credit cards are bad. What you need to do instead is start your own business, or join my program, or get into real estate or some shit like that, or invest in stocks. Like that's what they'll try to they'll try to convince you to do what they want you to do by telling you that something else is bad, right? In comparison, so they're trying to tell you, because they're hoping that if you do have credit cards, and let's say you have some debt and stuff like that, and you're having trouble paying off the debt, which you shouldn't. You should be making sure that you're constantly paying off the debt. Even if you constantly have a balance, it doesn't matter, as long as you pay the balance, pay as much of the balance as possible. The more you pay the balance, the better, of course. And that's the thing. You should always be trying to pay off the balance. You definitely want a credit card where like as soon as you set up the payment for the balance, you automatically get credited, before the money goes through. That way you have access to the credit, right? In case you gotta pay some bills and stuff like that, you can immediately start paying off the bills while you wait for the money to transfer and pay for the credit. And even if you stay with some credit on balance there. If you end up with if you still have some balance on your credit card every month, well, not that big of a deal, because as long as you're putting money towards the credit card every month, at least the minimum amount, you're good. Because let me see, I'll say like I'm $2,000 to $3,000, in in credit use or whatever. But that number gets smaller and smaller because I get paid every week, and I throw some money here and there into the cards. I try to throw in at least $50 at a time towards each of the cards to just slowly pay it off. There's like one card in particular where I put in the most. I put in like 100 or more into that card. That's the card that I'll mainly be buying stuff from. So I put money into it, I spend money from it, I put money into it, I spend money from it. You know what I mean? Just endless cycle. So that card will always have a balance, while the other cards will be losing balance. Now sometimes I might be in a situation where I have to use the other cards to pay for stuff that I want. Basically investing into items that I need for projects and whatnot, and then slowly pay it back little by little. So kind of like a layaway plan type thing. Not that different from a loan, right? You borrow the money you need to do what you need to do for whatever project you're working on, and then slowly pay it back. Especially if the project that you're working on makes money, where the purpose is for it to make money, then it will pay for itself once you're making money from it, right? So that's the funny thing, what about some of these sites. I mean, some of these gurus or money finance experts and stuff like that. They're always trying to scare you when it comes to one thing, but try to make something else less scary. And in reality, all of it is requires effort. All of it has its ups and downs, right? It has its pros and cons. So that's why it's funny when they try to point out the negatives of credit cards, for example. when the reason credit cards would be a problem is if you're irresponsible. If you use credit cards to pay for stuff and you have no money to pay off the credit cards, then of course, credit cards would be bad. But if you know what you're doing, as in you're only spending at least, how much you can afford. So if you only have like $200, for example, you're not spending more than $200 on credit. That way you can afford to pay off the credit card, right? But if you have to spend a little bit more, okay, that happens. But the idea is just to be, to be mindful and keep track. The more credit cards you have, the harder it can be to keep track. But obviously, try to keep track. Every week I check my credit cards, check all their balances, and I have like a little spreadsheet thing where I update the balance, especially after I pay like at least $50 or sometimes just the minimum amount, just to make sure that I'm in good standings when it comes to just paying the credit. I don't try to make a big deal and worry too much about trying to pay it all off at once. Just try to pay off as much as possible, little by little, here by little by little, right? Point is just keep an eye on it, right? Be responsible. The goal is to eventually zero out, right, your credit, because you want to be in the positive, right? You want to be money positive, right? There's nothing wrong with using credit to get stuff when you need it, because sometimes you might not have the money. Maybe you spent the money on something else already, and now something else happens. It's like, damn, I need money for that. Like an unexpected bill, or let's say you end up in a situation where you have to take an Uber or something. Then you can put that on credit and then pay it off later, right? So the way of looking at credit is like it's emergency money. It's for when you need it. Not for when you want stuff, it's for when you need it, right? So every other time, whenever, you get your tax or something like that, then you can get the stuff you want, right? Birthdays, you can ask for certain things. I do that with my birthdays. I take advantage of that. But like, I want this, I want that, for my birthday. And hopefully somebody looks out and, gets me that thing that I'm looking for. That way I don't have to buy it, right? And that saves me money. And that's the other thing. They try to tell you that saving money is bad, right? I mentioned earlier, the whole saving money doesn't make you wealthy, but it's like, that's incorrect, because at least saving money makes you not broke. Too many people, as soon as they get money, they immediately spend it. And that's how they end up broke. That's how they end up in an endless cycle of being broke. You're broke because you don't make sure that you live below your means. That means if you make $2,000 a month, you shouldn't be spending $2,000 or $3,000 a month. Right? You shouldn't have that type of expense. You should be living like $1,000 a month lifestyle while you're making $2,000 a month. That way you can always stack 1,000, as an example. The idea is to try to save money. And we have this mindset of saving money, right? Which is not necessarily saving like in a savings account. What I mean by saving is as in try not to spend a lot of money. Like instead of paying full price for something, try to get a discount. Use websites like Groupon or something like that. Look at your local newspaper and see if there's any coupons in there, and buy stuff that you need or want for less, right? Check places that you normally buy stuff and see if there's stuff on sale, and try to find the stuff you want on sale and try to buy all the stuff you want at the same time on sale, so that way you can pay less for all the stuff you want, and you get it all out the way, all in one shot, as opposed to trying to try to get everything now at full price. You can try to get it later when it's half off, when there's more supply than demand. When there's less people trying to buy the thing, the cheaper it'll get. So that's what you want. You want to buy stuff when everybody else ain't buying stuff, right? For example, right, you want to buy winter clothes when people ain't buying winter clothes. That's usually during around summer, right? Or buy summer clothes during winter, right? So you always want to buy stuff when there's less of the demand. You don't want to buy stuff when everybody else is buying it, right? You want to buy stuff when nobody's buying it. So that right there helps you save money, right? Buying things for less than everybody else, because a Lamborghini that you paid 50% off is still a Lamborghini, right? At the end of the day, it's still a Lamborghini. You still can flex, right? You can still brag like, yo, I got a Lamborghini, even if you pay less than somebody else. So, if anything, that's more of a flex because you pay less and still got a Lamborghini while somebody else paid more than you for their Lamborghini. So, I'd rather pay less for a Lamborghini and brag about that I pay less than to pay more and try to flex on that. Like, yo, I paid a lot of money for this car. Like, okay, that was a waste of money. You could have tried to get it for less or got a cheaper car. I'm more impressed when somebody can get something useful for less. I'm not impressed that you paid more for something, right? I don't, that's not the way I view things. I just noticed there's a lot of people out there that think it's, cool to pay more for something. Makes them feel special, makes them feel, like they did something. It's like, okay, whatever. If it makes you happy to spend a lot of money or to work really hard for something, good for you. But I'd rather not work hard and get what I want anyway. I'd rather pay less to get the stuff that I want and need. And definitely the stuff you need, you definitely want it to be cheap. You want it to be reusable, right? That's why I buy stuff like power banks and stuff like that, because that lets me borrow, steal, whatever you want to call it, right? Electricity from wherever I go. And it has solar panels, so I can obviously just charge it with the power of the sun. But for any other situation, I would have to plug it to an outlet, plug it to somebody's computer device, for example. I've charged my power banks a couple times off of like laptops and computers systems. I mean, imagine being in somebody's car and they have like a USB outlet where you could charge charge your phone or charge your power bank, then plug it in there. Obviously with their permission, but the point is you can plug it in there and then charge. Bang, free electricity for you, right? Because you're not paying for it, right? So you're borrowing it, stealing it, whatever you want to call it, right? You're benefiting from it, whatever you want to call it. The point is that there are stuff out there for free if you look for it, right? There's stuff out there for cheap if you look for it, right? A lot of stuff that you pay a lot of money for actually is cheaper elsewhere if you took the time to look for it. Just too many people are so impatient that they don't spend the time trying to find something for cheaper, and then they end up paying more. I do business, of course, so buy low, sell high. I've been in some scenarios where I was selling something for more than I can get it for. So let's say I'm selling something for $10, but I could get it for $1. I've had a couple people point out to me, online that why am I selling this thing for $10 when at this other from the supplier is $1. It's like, oh, okay, so the business, where I get my item from. So good for you. Well, then, since just like I know that, we can go to that other website and get it for $1, then go get it for $1. I have no problem with you getting it from them if that's what you want to do. But trying to like publicly put it out there, we're like, hey, this guy's selling a item that you can buy for $1 elsewhere. He's trying to sell it for $10. It's like, it's business. You always buy low, sell high. This is nothing new. It's not like I'm the only one on the planet doing this. Everybody does this. The price of something is what someone's willing to pay. Not, there's no set specific price. The price is whatever the price is. A Lamborghini, for all you know, costs like $1,000 to make, but everybody's spending $250,000 to buy it and flex with it. Like, think about that. Like, you think a Lamborghini cost $250,000 to make? No, it did not. So the same thing goes for whatever item I sell. It's going to clearly be more than what I paid for, or what you could get elsewhere. That's why I'm pointing out the fact is like, look elsewhere. See if you can find it elsewhere. If you can't find it elsewhere, then pay whatever price right there. Because for all you know, that might be where you can get it for cheap, is from that person that you're trying to buy from, right? And then maybe you could sell it for more somewhere else, right? Buy something cheap for Amazon, sell it for more on eBay, as an example, or sell it for more on Facebook, right? Or buy something on eBay, then try to sell it for more on Facebook. You know what I mean? Because again, like I said, the price of things is what people are willing to pay. So if somebody's willing to pay $100 for something you spent $10 on, well, that's the price, right? That's the value of the item. $10 for you to give it to that other person. That's essentially what it is when you're buying something. It's just the agreement of like, hey, I give you this for that. Do we agree? Both of y'all agree? Then that's it. There's nothing wrong about that. That's the way it's supposed to be. I give you something, you give me something, and we both mutually agreed on that arrangement. Even if other people see it as like, oh, this is unfair, this is not equal, blah blah blah. It's like, well, it's equal to us, the ones who are involved in the trade. That it is equal to us, right? We clearly value the other thing more than that. So somebody clearly value what I'm selling for more than value it more than the $100 they gave me, right? They don't care about the $100, but what they do care about is the item that I have that they want. And I don't care about the item. That's why I'm selling it. And I do care about the $100. So there we go. The person cares for the item. I care for the $100. That's fair. That's a fair trade. They get what they want. I get what I want. Can't say it's unfair. It's not like they're getting something they don't want, and I am getting something I want. That's not how it's what's going on. But there's ignorant people out there that want to be ignorant, which is why most of them tend to not to be wealthy or having good lives, because they tend to be too negative. Instead of understanding this, like, hey, you know, business is business, right? It's not personal. It's not, you know, it's not everything's gonna be, you know, essentially more morally up, right? Not everything's going to be perceived as fair. It's not necessarily about being fair, right? It's more about being reasonable. So if the person wants what I want and I want what they've got, then we just trade and everybody's happy. It's a win-win situation, regardless of how other people see it. But anyway, you gotta, you know, think about what can you do to lower the cost of your living, right? Lower your electric bill, your water bill, and stuff like that. You want to spend less money, right? Anything you can do to save money is what's going to make it where you have essentially infinite money. Because if you can make it where you can afford to eat on $30 a month, you're going to save a lot of money. Because some people spend $300 a month in order to eat. You spending only $30. That means you're spending 10 times less than they are. That's an impressive skill, right? The ability for you to eat less, for you to eat for less than everybody else. That's the kind of skill you need to get. That's the thing about money. Money is not just about having a lot of it, spending a lot of it, right? Buying everything. People only know how to spend money. No one knows how to really make the most of it, right? No one knows how to invest it. Most people can't save money because, you know, they have the impulse, right? They're constantly being brainwashed by, you know, by online and stuff like that, commercials and stuff of buy, because they don't want you to save the money. They don't want you to get to a position where you have large sums of money where you're like, I have more money than I could ever spend. I don't need much of anything. I have everything I need, so now I have all this money for just to have it. So what am I gonna do with it? And you might start trying to do things with it, things they might not be okay with, right? You might try to use the money to solve problems, and they might not like that, right? But that goes into a different topic. But the point is like, you want to save as much of your money as possible, so that way you always have money to spend on other things, to buy stuff, right? Money is meant to be spent, obviously, but spend it wisely. Spend it to make sure that your life is good for a long, long time, right? Make sure you spend, like, any dollar you spend now should have some type of positive effect into your future, right? Like if I buy, like for example, the power banks, you know, I spent what, they're like $30 each, so, and I bought like almost close to $200 worth of power banks, um, something like that. I got a couple of them, and then I got a nice, real big one that like folds out and has extra solar panels on it. That one probably was a little pricey. Probably was like about $70 or something like that. Wouldn't be surprised. So you're getting a little close to $200 for the power banks, and that's not to mention the old ones, because it's like I'm only referring to the new ones I bought. The old ones that I already had, obviously that adds to the amount I've spent on power banks, solar power banks. But and external hard drives and many other things that I've, laptops, phones, digital cameras, microphones. That's the main stuff that I spend money on, is those digital devices. But that gives you an idea that it's like, okay, yeah, I spend that money, but I still have that stuff. Like 10 years ago, I bought a microphone, and I still have that microphone, and it still works. It still does what I needed to do, even though I bought many other mics during that time frame, during those years. I still got that mic, and I still, use it once in a while. But at some point, I might be like, I don't want it no more. I got better ones with higher quality and whatnot, and then probably just give the other one away to somebody who can use a used microphone. But you get my point. There's like, it was a good investment, because I used it for so many years, and then until I got some other microphones, then I used them less. I used that microphone less, but it was worth it. It was worth it, and that's the whole point. Whatever you spend money on now, you want it to still exist in the future, right? A pair of sneakers you buy now should last you at least a year, at least 6 months. Reasonably, but a year would be nice, right? And it wouldn't be a bad idea to get 2 pairs, just in case something happens to one of them. You have a backup, but typically you only need to buy 1 pair of sneakers a year. And every year, I buy a pair of sneakers. And it's kind of like a ritual. It's like kicking into the new year with new kicks, right? So I buy me a new pair, put it on New Year's Day, and it's like a new year, new shoes on my feet, right? Because all my old sneakers, obviously, the rubber on the bottom has worn out, so it's not as comfortable, and not as nice on your feet, right? It's not as comfortable. Obviously, it's worn out. So once I get some new sneakers, I feel like I'm walking on the air. So I like that, walking on the air every year. And then, of course, doing many other things. Always trying to make more money, trying to spend less money, trying to make sure that the stuff that I already spend money on is still useful, and I still use them. I make the most of them. Right? I got training equipment that I used to, exercise and stuff like that. So that helps me, save money on fitness and health. Right? Paying, spending less money on food. Obviously, that helps me with my health, but also helps me with my finances, because I'm spending less money. A lot of times I have opportunities to eat for free, because I might get invited places where there's going to be food, and I could just go there, eat for free, and just save me money for a day, right? Can't go wrong with that. And that's the kind of stuff you want to look into, ways to save money, opportunities for saving money. So you definitely want to make sure that you have money to save, money to spend, money to give away. even if you don't have a lot of money, you want it to last long. That's one of the benefits of being, I mean, that's the thing about being rich is not necessarily having a lot of money. It's having money when you need it. That's the real thing. That's the real key. The real power of wealth is that whenever you need something, you can always get it. And it's always important to focus on what you need. The reason why most people don't have money for what they need is because they keep spending it on stuff they want. And you need to stop wanting things. You got to get to a point where you have everything you need. And if you don't have everything you need, then there's something wrong with you. It's like, why don't you have everything you need? Right? I mean, everything you want. Why don't you have everything that you want already? The problem is that people tend to want more than they should have anyway. Just because you have a big house doesn't mean you have to fill the house with a whole bunch of shit. Remember, all that's materialistic. You can't take it with you when you die. That old saying. And it's true. You need to live a minimalist lifestyle. That's ironically how a lot of rich people are. They're minimalists. Even though they have more than what you have right now, they still have less than they would have. Because they can go crazy and ball out of control and spend all their money and be broke but have a whole bunch of expensive shit. The thing is they're not broke because they don't try to spend the money. They spend it here and there. Sometimes they can't they can't help themselves and they'll splurge, right? They'll buy something that they want. A lot of times they mainly focus on buying what they need and they try to spend less on that. People want to do stuff, travel, live their best life, and you could do it too at a budget. The thing is, you gotta do it within your means. Try to make your money last longer. That's what rich people tend to do. That's why rich people invest their money, right? It's all about making the money last longer, so that you always have money. That way, you're not always wondering when your meals, when's the next meal, right? More about when you can and can't do things. You don't want to be limited to what you can and can't do just because you don't have money to do the things you need to do. Let's say hypothetically, tomorrow's the end of the world, and there's a $200 ticket to go to Mars because Elon Musk, got us covered, so he'll make sure we get off this planet. But unfortunately, there's a price tag, and the price tag is $200. Can you afford $200 tomorrow? Can you guarantee you could afford a $200 ticket and get off this planet before it blows up, right? Or it gets destroyed by a meteor, right? Or asteroid or something, or an alien invasion or something. Like, are you ready? Like, that's the thing. You need to make sure that you're ready for something like that, right? This is a hypothetical, clearly, but the point is that if you need to, get on a plane and go somewhere, can you do it? If you need to get on a boat, if you need to get in a car like an Uber, call an Uber and just bounce, can you do it? Are you ready to do it? Is your life in a way that you have that as an option? That's the thing. You gotta make sure you always have that as an option, that you can always move forward in life. Right? Life is a lot like a video game. Where you're at, that's the level, right? That's the level that you're at. But you can always go to another level. Right? You can always level up. You don't have to stay where you're at. You can always improve. You can always level up. The knowledge and information is out there. The capabilities, the tools, the options, right? It's out there. The opportunities to level up is always out there. You have a smartphone. That's automatically a cheat code right there for you. That already gives you the ability to do everything you possibly ever want. One of the best in-game item you can have in a game would be something like a smartphone, right? The ability to look up information, learn how to do things, right? To level up your character, which is you. You can literally spend most of your time out 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 hours a day, like I do, looking on the internet, looking for ways to make more money, to learn how to do stuff like how to invest in the stock market. I have my own method, and I mentioned it before in a previous podcast episode on the dollar the dollar investment strategy, where I invest a dollar into a stock, wait until it turns into $2, take my dollar back, and then just wait until that dollar that I left in the stock turns into $2 again, right? So the idea is that every time I make a dollar, I take a dollar. I make a dollar, take a dollar. Simple as that. If I ever get in a situation where it goes into negatives, right, where the dollar in the stock, disappears, you know, suddenly I have like 10 cents in the stock. Well, that's fine. I just wait until it jumps back up, right? And I make over a dollar, and then snatch a dollar and just keep it going that way. It's like farming. You plant a seed and grow whatever you're growing, and then take what you need. Like, let's say you grow tomatoes, right? When some of the tomatoes are good and ready to be picked, then pick them and keep it moving, and the plant will keep making more tomatoes, and you just keep on infinitely, picking tomatoes from your tomato plants, right? That's the way it should be, right? And that's what you're supposed to do with money. It's the same thing. It's like you're supposed to get it, use it to get the stuff that you need, and then make sure you always have what you need. I mean, think about this logically. Let's talk about old school. Let me school you right quick. Old school, way before technology and all the stuff that we have now, right? You would have done stuff for somebody, like help them, with milk cows or something, right? They gave you some money, right, or something to compensate you. Maybe a whole bunch of like fruits and vegetables in a basket, whatever. How they used to do things back in old days before money was even a thing, right? Then you would take that stuff and make use of it, especially the fruits and vegetables. You can open them, take the seeds out, and grow your own fruits and vegetables. You just needed a land, right? Property. If you have a backyard, which means you have, grass, right? You have dirt and stuff like that. Get some concrete blocks and, make a little wall, a little farm, right? Make your own, and start filling it up with soil and stuff like that. Make your own little farm patch and start growing stuff on there. You know what I mean? Like, just common sense shit. It's like we still, regardless of the advancedness of technology that we have, we still primitive, right? We still require nature. So the idea is to try to go back to nature. You want stuff that's renewable. You want to have access to water all the time. That's why living close to like a river or something is useful. Scoop up the water from the river, right? Filter it out, boil it, boil the water, this, that, third, and then use the water for whatever you need it for. Drinking, bathing, sanitation, right? Toiletry, laundry, whatever you need the water for. Planting your, watering your garden, that kind of stuff, right? Like, that kind of cycle. You gotta have a system, and that's the thing. It's like, yes, I'm not saying you gotta, go old school and try to have a farm and this, that, there, and try to live the Amish paradise lifestyle. But what I'm saying is that try to find things that make your life easier. If your life is largely technology, like how it is for me, that's why I have the power banks with the solar panels. I even have a hand crank, a little generator thing where I could just manually just turn it, crank it, right, and create electricity, so I can charge things, and I have technology that I can use to cook things, right, to communicate with things, to build things. I got tools, right, in case I gotta fix things or build stuff, and I got knowledge and engineering skills, so I could build my own shit. I could build whatever I need. I could build shelter. I could build, like a wagon or something, carry my precious items, backpacks, be able to fill it up with a whole bunch of equipment, flashlights. So I always have light, so that way I can see at the dark, and that kind of stuff. Like fire, I got lighters, right? I could create a fire if I need heats and things of that nature, candles, and the list goes on, right? Electric heating system, electric cooling system, like a fan that I can power through USB, and I got the power banks to power them. So I'm always guaranteed, so I'm good on that. Obviously having blankets and stuff like that, coats, clothing, the list goes on of things that I have that, make life easy and comfortable, right? And then the whole thing is I just gotta grow my own food, right? Start getting some seeds, start growing some fruits and vegetables, that is on my to-do list of things to do. But mainly I've just been focused on reducing water bill, electric bill. That way, like I said, save money. That way I always have money, which I do. That's the whole point. I'm like, nope, can't be ever in a situation ever again where I don't have money. Like I literally had no money many of times in my life. Or like I literally had no money. It's like, damn, no money and then no way of getting money. But then eventually I started finding ways to be able to get money, then found other ways to be able to make more money. Then of course had the mindset of like, well, I need to spend less of it, because I never know when I'm gonna, the next time I'm gonna have, the opportunity to get money. I need to make the money that I got last longer. So that's where saving money comes in. And then of course looking towards ways to grow money, like investments, stock markets, CD accounts, things of that nature. Looking for apps where I can make money, do online surveys, and sell things through eBay, and the list goes on, right? Software business, music business. I make music, technology, right? I can make music, put the music online, make some money from that, right? Make some money from YouTube, make money from TikTok. The list goes on. There's many different ways you could make money, and ebooks, make money from that. And I have different ways of earning money. Different streams of income, right? Because it's a skill, right? I went, got the knowledge, and went and used it. I understand, how to get money. But the most important thing is how to make sure I can save the money, right? So I can use it for the things that I need in the future, and try to reduce my spending habit, right? By wanting less stuff. By making sure I have more than what I need, make sure I have stuff that takes care of a lot of stuff. Like for example, there was a time, long time ago, I would buy batteries. I would go to the dollar store and stuff like that, buy batteries, because it's cheaper. But the thing is like eventually, rechargeable batteries became a thing. So then I went and got me some rechargeable batteries, which lower the cost of me constantly having to buy, what is it called? Batteries. I even got to the point where like I found out about LED light bulbs, even though I had the idea before they were created. But the point is they do exist. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes my life easier. They exist. I could just go buy them, and it's like that's better than keep buying incandescent light bulbs, right? The old glass ones that always break. And that's the thing, they tend to break a lot. It's like, you know what? I need something better. I need something that lasts longer, something that doesn't break so easily, and that uses less power. So that's where the LED stuff came in. So that not only reduced the power usage, so it saves me money that way. It also saves me money on just having to constantly replace the light bulbs whenever they burn out, because they barely do. They last years and years and years before they even do. Like I had like maybe 2 of them burn out so far. But I bought like over 16 of them so far. Between me, my mom's house, and my current house, about 16, and like 2 of them burned out. It happens. But they were cheap, and the other ones last long. The other ones are still going strong. And I've had them for over 4 years now, so over 4 years and only 2 of them burned out. That's not a bad deal. And I got them on sale originally, and like I said, they're already cheap. But then the first original ones I got them on sale, so that was awesome. Like I said, saving money. I spend a little bit of money in the past, and I'm still benefiting now, in 4 years later, from it. And that's what I'm talking about, saving money. Making sure that your money lasts long, not just lasts long by having it, but lasts long on how you spend it. But yes, also how long you have it, how long you hold on to it until you actually going to put it somewhere. And the thing is, unless you already have methods to invest and to grow your money, you should be saving it at least bare minimum. Save as much money as possible. Save it, and then try to find ways to invest it, ways to use the money, to better your life for the long term. For years and years. Think in years. Don't think in days and weeks and months. Think in years. That's what I do. I think in years. I want to make sure that if tomorrow, I was to lose my job and this, that, and third, and let's say I lose, my methods for making money online, so it's hard for me to make money, I'll still be able to do things, right? I mean, when it comes to food, we'll still need some money for that for the short period of time. But there are places I could, get food for free. Obviously, I could ask people for money, beg, right? If I was homeless, right, beg for money, and get food that way, and of course go to stuff like dollar store and get some cheap stuff. But you know, when it comes to electricity, I'm covered for that. When it comes to you know, well, one, I still gotta order the water filter system, you know, bottles and stuff like that. But once I get those, bang, they'll take care of the water situation. Because whenever it rains, boom, scoop up a whole bunch of water, right? Cause that's funny. I think of like what I would do if I was homeless, and then, you know, practice and apply those, you know, concepts while I'm not homeless, right? So that way, God forbid, right? But if I end up in that situation, I've been in that situation like twice in my life. But if I wasn't ever in that situation again, at least I'd be in a way better position than I was before. Just got nowhere to get free Wi-Fi. You know, I can connect my phone to free Wi-Fi, get online and make money, right? You know, I can dig in trash and find some stuff and sell it on eBay. You know, I can walk to the post office and, you know, give them money that I got from. I'm not going to go into the whole thing of how I would, you know, obviously, you know, do things while I'm homeless. But the point is that I'm prepared. So God forbid that happens, right? But, you know, because I have a whole bunch of contingencies to reduce that possibility. But if it was ever to happen, I am prepared to, you know, I'll be okay homeless. It'd just be a short inconvenience until, you know, I get back to a, you know, to the, you know, back on my feet. But at the current point in time, I'm doing really great, and I'm just constantly leveling up. And that's what y'all should be doing, is leveling up. Reduce your costs of living. Stop wanting so many stuff. Stop trying to spend money all the time. Try to get into the habit of spending less. Try to enjoy free things. Try to enjoy just talking to people instead of like, oh, I got to see the new movie that comes out every time. Like, no, wait a while. One, most of the movies that you want to watch will end up for free anyway on like some app like Tubi or Peacock, or maybe on YouTube somewhere, or some other free website. Like, there's no point in just be like, oh, I gotta immediately spend money and watch something at the same time everybody else watching it. Like, nah, you can wait. That's the thing. Logically, it's like at some point, the things you want to do, you can do it either for cheap or free. Eventually, you just gotta be patient. And the thing is too many people are impatient. That's the problem. That's the reason why many people aren't rich, is because they're impatient. They're in a hurry to get rich, so they end up not getting rich anytime soon. The more patient you are, the faster, ironically, the faster you'll get to your goal, right? Slow and steady wins the race. You might have heard that. So if you take your time and slowly build up to your, you know, to your millionaire status, you'll be a millionaire. But if you're trying to rush and trying to get to your, you know, to the millionaire status really quick, you're going to end up slowing yourself down, because, you know, all of the best things in life takes time. You know, nothing happens, you know, overnight, as they say. So take your time, be patient. You'd be surprised how much time you have left in life to achieve your goals, especially if you're supposed to achieve them. That's put that in your mind. If you're supposed to be rich, you will be in time. So be patient. You will be rich if you're supposed to be. But if you're not supposed to be, you're not meant to be rich, then wanting to be rich doesn't change that. Doesn't override reality. Reality says if you're meant to be rich, you will be. So just be patient, put effort. Don't be lazy and just think that it's going to magically happen. But don't try to rush it too fast. Just take your time, figure out what you need to do. First and foremost, obviously, spend less money. Right? Rich people spend less money. Poor people spend more money, and that's why the poor are poor. The rich are rich because they spend less. The poor are poor because they spend more. So keep that in mind. Spend less money so that way you can always have money, and then try to find ways to make more money. And if you constantly have that mindset of spending less, getting more, spending less, getting more, spending less money, getting more money, spending less money, getting more money, what's gonna happen? You're gonna have a lot of money eventually, because you spend so little but you make so much, right? Every time you get $20 but you only spend $5, then that means you're always saving 15, right? And if you keep doing that over and over again, 15 times 1,000, it's gonna be $15,000, right? You do that a million times, it'll be $15 million, right? Just a bit. It's simple. The concept is simple. What's not simple is what you do. you make life harder than it needs to be. So try to make it easier, softer, right? Make your life easier by reducing your responsibilities, right? Reducing your cost of living, you know. And that'll be the end of the podcast.